The wind sighed softly against the windows, a breath of air carrying the scent of rain-soaked earth into the room. Lenora stood before the mirror, her eyes tracing the reflection of her hands as they moved, brushing invisible dust from the edges of the glass. Her fingers moved swiftly, automatically, wiping, smoothing, adjusting again and again, until everything seemed perfect. But it never was. She stepped back, tilting her head as she examined the space around her. The room was immaculate, each object placed with precision, each surface spotless. And yet something was always out of place. Some invisible flaw whispered to her, pulling her back toward the mirror. She moved closer, her breath fogging the glass for a moment, before she wiped it away with swift practiced strokes. There was something in the air tonight, something that clung to her skin like a second layer. It was more than the rain, more than the darkness that pressed against the windows. It was a feeling she couldn't shake, a presence that had settled in the corners of her mind, tightening its grip. She could almost taste it, metallic and cold, like the sharp edge of a blade. She turned away from the mirror, her movements deliberate, but her mind raced ahead of her as it always did. She could hear it, her thoughts an incessant hum beneath the surface, 1,000 tiny voices pulling her in 1,000 directions. She could never keep up with them all. The need to fix, to adjust, to perfect gnawed at her, like a moth chewing through the fabric of her sanity. Yet tonight was different. There was something beneath the restlessness, a murmur that seemed to rise from the floorboards, from the very walls themselves. It was soft at first, barely a whisper, but it grew, weaving itself into the rhythm of her breath, the beat of her heart. She felt it in her chest, a slow tightening that both soothed and unnerved her. She crossed the room, her fingers trailing lightly over the polished wood of the table, the cool metal of the door handle. The sensation grounded her for a moment, a fleeting reprieve from the storm of thoughts. She could feel the texture, the weight of the objects under her touch, but it wasn't enough. It was never enough. The whisper grew louder now, an insistent tug at the edge of her awareness. She paused by the window, her hand resting against the cool glass, and looked out into the night. The rain had stopped, leaving the world drenched in shadow. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their branches like long fingers stretching toward the sky. She watched them for a moment, her eyes tracing their movement, but the whisper called her back. Her hands twitched, moving toward the door to check if it was locked, for the third time that night. But she stopped herself. Something in the air had shifted. She could feel it, a heaviness pressing down on her like the weight of unseen eyes, watching her every move. But it wasn't malevolent. No, it was something else, something familiar. She let out a slow breath, her eyes drifting closed as the whisper wrapped around her, soft and steady. It was in the air she breathed, in the silence that filled the room. It was everywhere and nowhere, all at once. There is nothing you need to fix. The voice was not her own, though it came from within her. It was soft, gentle, like the rustling of leaves in a breeze. It threaded through her thoughts, weaving them together, calming the wild current that had always carried her away. There is nothing broken here. She opened her eyes, but the room looked different now. The edges were softer, the light dimmer, as though a veil had been drawn over her senses. The perfection she had so desperately sought was no longer necessary. It was an illusion, she realized, one that had kept her trapped, always chasing, never satisfied. The voice in her mind continued, a gentle guide through the tangled mess of her thoughts. Your mind is a labyrinth, intricate and beautiful. It does not need to be controlled. Let the threads unravel. Let them fall where they may. She felt herself sinking deeper, her body growing heavier, her thoughts slowing. The world outside the window faded into darkness, and all that remained was the stillness within her. Her hands, which had always been restless, now rested lightly at her sides, no longer needing to touch, to fix, to correct. The whisper became a soft hum, filling the space around her, like the distant echo of a forgotten song. It carried her deeper into the quiet, deeper into the stillness that had always been there, waiting for her beneath the chaos. "You have the power to choose," the voice said, steady and calm. "You can release the need to control. You can trust the stillness." Her body relaxed further, the tension that had lived in her shoulders, her chest, her hands slowly melting away. She could feel it, the shift, the letting go. The threads that had bound her so tightly were loosening, unraveling one by one. And with each one that fell away, she felt lighter, freer. "You do not need to hold on so tightly." Her breath came slower now, deeper, filling her lungs with the cool, damp air of the room. The whisper guided her, gently unraveling the knot of tension that had always lived inside her. It was like watching the rain wash away the dirt from the streets, leaving everything clean and fresh, untouched by the storm. The mirror, the table, the door, all the things that had demanded her attention, faded into the background. They no longer held power over her. The need to fix, to perfect, had loosened its grip. "Focus on the stillness," the voice whispered, "on the space between the thoughts." She could feel it now, the space. It was vast, open, like standing at the edge of a great expanse. The thoughts were still there, fluttering in the distance, but they no longer controlled her. She watched them pass by like clouds drifting across the sky, and she remained anchored in the stillness. Let them come, let them go. Her breath slowed further, each inhale and exhale drawing her deeper into the quiet. The whisper faded, but the stillness remained, a gentle presence that wrapped around her like a warm blanket.